Let me let Lou. So. Ta-da! You're in my kitchen. I've been trying to thaw out my meat here. All right. Casey, why do you think you picked this recipe out of like everything you cook to share with us?
Because it's easy.
Yeah, that's the number one rule. Simple or you think it's easy. So it's like, I tried to look it up why it was called cowboy stew. It was just like just whatever you have around when you're out riding.
Yep, this is whatever you have when you're out on the range. That's why it's called cowboy stew.
All right. So let me go over the ingredients and then we'll get to cooking. So, what I like about it, just looking at it, it's a colorful dish because you said get every one of the colors of peppers. But looking at it, you're looking at peppers, carrots, sweet potatoes. It sounds like it'd be really sweet. But
It sounds like it would be sweet, and it can be. It just it's not really because of the seasoning you add. Because Cavender's, it's very flavorful, but it's also salty. And then I put cayenne pepper in it, but if you don't want it to be too spicy, don't add a lot of it.
so I did the exact opposite. My local place, they make this stuff called Old Squirrel hot sauce, and it's hot peppers, vinegar, sorghum, garlic, and salt. But mainly the hot peppers is locally grown cayenne. So I'll have to be careful I don't make it too hot. So now I notice you don't put any garlic or onion in it.
You can add garlic or onion if you want to. I just don't.
Yeah, okay. So so we're just what? And I did change one thing on your recipe. You said to get an orange, a red, a yellow bell, and a green. And for some reason, I don't like green, so I went and got a poblano, which is funny
That
because it's
works.
green, but it just has a
It is,
slightly
it's
different
green.
taste.
It's just not going to be as sweet as a green pepper, but
Right. And then I got these nice local carrots that just were picked. And I learned from a Chinese guy that you can cook the tops. So I don't know, I might throw that in. But all right. Got sweet potatoes, carrots, beans, and nice slow cooker. And I got 3 pounds of meat I'm still thawing out. So I'm sure it's much better if it's not frozen, but do you have a preference of meat?
I usually use like a flat steak or a round steak, or even a small fillet. But
So it really doesn't matter, just like lots of it.
Hey man, this is Casey's husband, Rob. Do you realize that she's probably the worst person to give cooking advice to? From
It's all right. It's all about simple cooking.
right
So
on.
yeah.
Well, I'm just giving you that disclaimer. It's just
Well,
yeah, he likes
I'll
to be
give
like
you a
that.
disclaimer back. I became a really good cook because my mother was horrible. So your kid might end up being a really good cook.
who? I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I said I became a good cook because my mother was a horrible cook. So.
Oh, okay, me too. I'm in the exact same thing happened to me.
So let's see. So Casey, you just said chop everything and put it in the pot. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You just chop it all up into, manageable chunks, so they're not too big but not too small.
I always make it. Fred, what did you call it when you make it like all different shapes and like crude cut it?
I have no idea.
Country style?
Crunch, I don't know, like bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. So I just like roughly cut it. And similarly with the meat, you cut that all into bite size.
Yeah, but I usually cut it into, kind of squares, small squares.
The reason I'm saying that is one I bought already is cut in squares, and I know Lulu bought a 2 pound like roast, and she's gonna have to show us how to cut that up.
Yeah, it's usually, but you just I cut the meat into squares. That's what I do, but I'm usually using a flat steak, like a flat iron steak when I do it.
Okay, that makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
And it's all grass-fed beef from my parents' farm there in Southern Illinois.
Oh, see, that is definitely more flavorful. I learned that when I went to Brazil, that it might not be the tenderest, but it's definitely the most flavorful and nutritious.
Yeah, and my dad's beef tends to be pretty soft. It's not like super hard or anything. It's all like grass-fed and well taken care of.
That makes a big difference. All right. I never would have thought to put sweet potatoes in a chili, but I also never thought of chili as sweet. But
Yeah, I never really thought of chili as sweet either, but the sweet potato really gives it a good flavor.
Do you, you're saying to chop everything into bite-sized pieces, basically.
Yeah.
And then are you browning the meat?
No. Nope.
Okay.
When I get it all chopped up and I have it all in my mixing bowl, I've got my crock pot with the water full almost to the top. And I put all the chopped up veggies and the chopped up meat in there. And then I put the beans in on top of it, and then I season it all in the water and kind of mix it up. And then you just cover it with the lid and put it on for 5 hours.
Okay.
or as long as you can forget it, right?
Or,
Seems like the longer you
I'd
cook
recommend
it,
setting a timer if your crock pot doesn't have one.
And if you do this stovetop, would you just less time because you could have it at a little bit, are you putting it on high on your crock
Yeah, I
pot?
usually I put it on high in the crock pot for 5 hours.
Okay.
good simmer. All right, I got mine.
So I don't think I have a crock pot big enough because I've got like 2 3/4 pounds of. I apologize. I already cut up my chuck roast because I
Well,
wanted.
that's good because
That's okay.
otherwise we'd be here
One
for
step ahead.
hours. But how did you cut it? Was it
Just
hard?
in chunks and squares, like she said. Now, because I enjoy fat, I didn't trim any of the fat off. So some pieces,
And that's fine. You don't
So
have to
this-
trim
I
the
did
fat.
not do that either.
but I'm having a hard time not wanting to.
I don't do it either.
I'm having a hard
Tell them if they
time
want
not.
to just that works too.
The idea of not browning it is kind of like foreign to me. So
Yep, I definitely don't brown it before I put it in because your crock pot or pressure cooker or whatever you're using is gonna cook it.
yeah.
And you don't want to over cook it by browning it before you put it in.
I don't know if you guys all know about this trick. If your thumb's strong enough, you just push in on the top and then you can pull the pepper apart.
I've got to try that.
Yeah, I don't have strong thumbs. So I've never done that.
Just like
Okay.
that's my when I was a young man goat milking hands. I got really strong hands. But I don't know if I should admit that.
It does work, but I can only do it one thumbed. My left thumb has no strength.
There
Oh,
you
that's-
go. You could
Brilliant.
pepper pop and thumb strength exercise. Go to the gym.
Pepper, pop, and thumb. That's great. I love that.
It's my new blues song.
I
So-
got a pepper, pop, and thumb.
I guess if you cut up all the meat already, you don't have any trick you could show us on how to do it.
No, but I felt bad chopping it up because it was such a beautiful roast. It was 2 inches thick.
Well, I mean, if it's really big like that, I suppose you could cook all this, you know, just a whole big roast and cover all of it with this, and then after 5 to 8 hours, wouldn't it be tender enough you could just like pull it
Yeah.
apart?
Yeah.
But
The beauty of her recipe is the ease and simplicity and
beauty of the show is
It's an easy recipe and it's pretty quick. So it's a convenient recipe for me because it's easy.
I
And
almost
do it,
bought,
you know, around lunchtime or
they have a frozen mix of peppers at the store. Like this kind of peppers just as a frozen bag, and I almost bought that to show.
that gets real simple.
And it gets real simple.
What do they call that? There's a cooking show that's called Semi Homemade, and she kind of
really?
uses half processed, not processed, but pre, assembled or.
So that's everything cut up. Oh no, I didn't do my poblano.
And are you peeling the sweet potato?
I'm
I
not, because
usually
this is
peel
the
the sweet
local
potato
organic.
first. 'Cause you
Okay,
don't want to cook it with the skin on. You want to peel it first.
okay,
The sweet potato.
yeah.
I'm not picking mine out. But here, I'll show you. I only used a couple of them. These are the local organic sweet potatoes. They're like really small. Nice and tender. So really the only thing I have left to do is cut this poblano.
And open your
Meat in
cans,
there.
or did you already open your cans?
I didn't know. How much spice do you put in?
Do what?
How much spice do you tend to put in? Because of course it's a preference, but
Because I don't measure anything, I usually do like a light dusting of the spice. Don't mess with my process. You set up.
so. With the exception of open
You know,
cans
you
beef.
can't complain because you eat it every time I make it.
I wonder
I'm
if
yelling
I
at my
would-
husband.
I wonders if now do you drain the juice out of the beans or you dump them all in there?
No, drain the juice.
Saying that this, what's that mean?
And the can itself has water in it, so do we pour the water in there or not? Ever since I was told I don't need to eat much salt, I drain it because, like, if you read this, it has, where's the salt? This has
No.
11%.
I usually pour it through a screen and rinse it.
Oh, you even rinse the beans, Fred?
Yeah, if you're
Now,
trying to get,
Casey, do you ever do any other kind of beans or you just always do the same kind?
I just always do the pinto beans. I've never used any other kind of beans, just the pinto beans.
I think the secret to this is definitely your parents' grass-fed beef, right?
Yeah,
That
probably.
has so much flavor, you hardly need any other flavor. But Oops. Just leave the lid on there and you can drain it easy. Now, Lulu, you usually make small amounts on the cooking show. Why are you making like a full, huge roast?
So I've been freezing portions for meals ahead of time, and then I share with my son-in-law because my daughter's pretty much just a whatever you call it, a chicken and pescatarian, you know, fish. She'll do fish and chicken, but she doesn't do any pork or beef. So I like to make additional beef dishes to share with my son-in-law. And I adore beef stew.
So yeah, after you make this, tell me how you think this compares to other beef stews you've had. And
Yeah.
does it make you, what does a cowboy say?
Yeehaw?
Yeah.
What does a cowboy? Yeehaw.
I don't know what you're asking.
Yeah, does this make you go yeehaw
Oh,
or want to rope a cow? I don't know.
so getting back to the how do you pronounce that seasoning? Cavendar? Cavendar?
Cavenders?
Cavender's.
Yep, Cavenders.
So I looked online on how to make that.
It's a Greek seasoning.
Right. I have so many spices that I wanted to look up a knockoff, you know, a homemade version of it. And the simplest one I found was
yeah.
use Italian seasoning and add some cinnamon and some nutmeg.
Oh, wow.
A little more cinnamon
Oh.
than you would nutmeg. And then I think like a cornstarch or some sort of powdery agent.
They probably just use that to keep it from
Fluffy.
caking.
Yeah. But I don't have I'm a little concerned because I
Here's what
don't
it
have
looks
a,
like so far. Without the meat.
so you're not doing yours
And
in
if your pot's not big enough to hold all of the ingredients, you can put a significant portion in your pot, like just how much will fit.
And then look at all this good stuff I have to save for veggie broth later.
So you put the seeds from your peppers in there, or you put the whole shebang?
No, I didn't. This is saving it. This is the seeds. I didn't, but maybe she does.
No, I say in your
But
in making your broth.
I put it all in the water, and then I season it while it's in the water, and then I stir it all up. That way the seasoning can kind of soak into everything.
Yeah, I haven't put any water in here yet.
That's how I do it, or you can pre-season it before you put it in the water if you want to.
And so you're saying that you do your vegetables bite size or chunky too?
Yep.
And that makes sense if you're cooking it for 5 to 8 hours, because it will break down a lot too.
And so the same with the sweet potato, the same size as you're making everything else?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, the only mistake I made is I chopped the sweet potato without peeling it.
With what?
Without peeling it.
Whatever.
Oh, I'm sure that'll definitely give it a different kind of texture and flavor.
Texture.
Very interesting to see how it turns out.
These sweet potatoes are so small. You just need to fill it and cover it up really well. You said, oh, I didn't put spice.
Or where did you get your sweet potatoes?
Farmer's market.
The farmer's market?
There's literally a guy around here that all he does is grow sweet potatoes.
Wow.
Okay.
Like in his 70s or 80s now. He makes
Wow.
these really flavorful.
And I thought maybe you got them from the co-op.
It's like, I think they might sell his sweet potatoes there also, but I always get it at I usually get like a bushel of them because they never go bad. I mean, you
Yeah.
buy them and then just put them on the floor and they are good for 4 or 5 months, it seems like. So, all right. Pretty simple. Now, I guess you season it with that spice, but everybody can, I guess, season it how they want, but especially how spicy it is.
Yeah, if you don't want it to come out too spicy, don't put a lot of that in. If you put too much, it'll be like super spicy and then you won't taste any of the other flavors.
Yeah, I mean, you can always add more spice, but it's really hard to take away.
Yeah, you can always add more if you don't think it's spicy enough, but you can't take it away once you put it in there.
So,
Good point.
all right, Lulu, do you have any final questions?
So I'm doing mine like yours or where it's not going in a crock pot, so I will pay attention to it, but I'll just bring it up to like a simmer and then turn it down and just keep it simmering. That's
Okay,
probably,
putting mine in
Yeah.
a pressure cooker, a slow cooker.
oh, pressure cooker.
So since
Oh,
you're Lulu, since you're doing yours on the stove, you can bring it down, like get it up to a boil and then bring it down to a simmer.
yeah.
And then just let it simmer for 5 hours or so. But make sure you set a timer for yourself.
Oh, I'll be right here anticipating. It's like this is my Saturday or Sunday afternoon is
What do you
is
call it?
just-
After 4 hours, you're gonna taste it like every 5 minutes.
yeah, right.
And after about 4, you can check it after about 4 hours, and then if you think it looks done enough, you can turn it off. But I usually let it go for about the full 5 hours.
Yeah. So
So
good
one
deal.
quick question. I'm not going to be overcooking the sweet potatoes. Will they break all the way down? Because I once again, I'm resisting doing what I would normally do and, cook the meat for a good long time. And then the last, hour, put all the vegetables in. But
No,
Your
you won't be. They don't break down. The sweet potatoes don't break down.
okay.
I would
I-
probably add a caveat, as long as you don't stir it a lot.
Yeah.
That's a hard
Yes, the more you stir it, the more those sweet potatoes will break down.
But if you don't stir it a whole lot, like Or said, they won't break down. But
right.
you just stir it to the point where the seasoning is mixed in really well.
You don't stir it after it's cooking.
But after it's
the whole point of a crock pot.
but after it's already cooking, you don't stir it.
Like I said, I'd be fine if I had the crock pot going, but my crock pot's
Couldn't do
tiny.
that stove top, by the way. Let them know that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So,
It don't
Good
work the
deal.
same way in stove top.
Yeah, because
all
they
right,
heat
Casey,
more
do you have any
from
final
all
words? Thank you for sharing in spite of all the technical
Fine.
difficulties.
Yep,
We
that's
managed to get through.
no problem. I don't. I mean, this has been an interesting experience considering I have severe social anxiety, and describing things is definitely not my forte.
Yeah.
You
But
did
When I
I'm
first started
absolutely
doing this,
terrible at-
I only had the camera pointed down, so I have 2 cameras in my kitchen. And so I only had it pointed down here. All you could see was my hands. So it took me a long time to add the second camera. So I understand that. So
Yeah, I'm
But,
definitely terrible at giving directions, but I try, to the best of my ability anyway.
thank you so much for sharing. Yep. And
You're welcome.
sharing
and,
that
you'll
grass-fed
have to let-
beef is the best.
Yeah, grass-fed beef is definitely the best. You'll have to let me know how your stews turn out.